In December 2019, the Italian heavy tanks branch was announced at WG Fest in Moscow. A lot of work has been done since then. It's time to demonstrate to you the technological pinnacle of Italian heavy tanks, featuring an improved auto-reloader system. Italy is a country with a long history of building heavy tanks. There's the Fiat 2000 from World War I. During the interwar period, Italians were making heavy tanks at the request of the USSR. Italians started developing vehicles for themselves since late 1938. According to the Italian classification, they were heavy vehicles, but the weight of these vehicles didn't exceed 30 tons and decreased even more later on. The end of World War II put Italian tank building on hold. The country's damaged economy was supported by the Marshall Plan. However, even with external help, Italy couldn't afford any major leaps in tank development after World War II. In any case, they couldn't even produce heavy armament. But that didn't mean they couldn't design new heavy tanks. The new line will branch off the P-43 bis at Tier 6. It will include 4 vehicles. At Tier 7, there is the Carro d'Assalto P-88. Although it is the only Italian heavy tank without an auto-reloader, it has 2 cyclical guns with a high rate of fire at its disposal. There's a hint of another reworked wartime project in this tank, a concept using a rear transmission arrangement. The hull was longer, but maintenance was easier. This solution brings to mind the experience of British designers who tried to make heavy tanks out of light tanks. That is why this Italian has good mobility for a heavy with average armor. The branch continues with the Progetto CC55 Mod 54 at Tier 8. It was influenced by not only the American pilot projects of the early 1950s, but also by the fact that most tanks in service with the Italian Army in the 50s and 60s were produced in America, the M46 and M47. In general, the concept of post-war tanks resembled the American Pershing. These vehicles were in service with the Italian Army by the mid-60s. The Progetto CC55 Mod 54 is better protected than its predecessor and has a more powerful 105mm gun. But the most interesting aspect of the Progetto CC55 is that it's the first appearance of the Italian Heavy's improved auto-reloader. Let's talk more about it. When there's no danger, shells auto-reload similarly to Italian medium tanks. The first shell loads the slowest, the last the fastest. The differences begin when you start shooting. For example, let's take a situation when the first shell is ready to fire and the second one is still loading. If it was fired from an Italian medium tank, you would have to wait the full shell loading time. After a shot, the improved mechanics starts working, which facilitates the gun reloading. A special marker will be displayed next to the loading timer. The reloading time of the next shell will start gradually decreasing. Once the marker turns white, the loading time will be halved, a nice bonus. You can fire at any moment, but the longer the shell reloads, the faster the next shell becomes available. Take a shot before the shell reloads completely. Otherwise, the next shell will be loaded as normal. The new mechanics will contribute to the gameplay variety of the Italian vehicles. So, in the near future, we'll focus on testing it properly. The Tier 9 Progetto C50 was inspired by German developments. By the late 50s, the Germans started working on their own tank design. Back then, it was called the Standardpanzer. The French were interested in this project, and it helped them create the AMX-30 later on. But the Italians were the first ones to get the Zero Series Standardpanzer. It's safe to assume that these developments influenced the project as they are embodied in the new branch at Tier 9. The Progetto C50 Mod 66 has all the features of a mobile heavy tank, good dynamics, great frontal armor, a powerful 120mm gun with an improved auto-reloading system, and good elevation and depression angles. This turns it from a support vehicle into a self-reliant combat vehicle. The pinnacle of the branch is a tank with the exotic name Rinoceronte, which means rhino in Italian. This tank is highly mobile, which allows it to initiate an attack on the flanks along with medium tanks, and its great armor enables it to lead the advance. It's armed with a 127mm gun that deals 490 damage per shot, and it's equipped with the improved auto-reloading system whose combat performance can't be underestimated. The Rinoceronte has a unique set of characteristics that allow it to switch battle tactics. Summarizing the branch, it's safe to say that these vehicles are very mobile and can hold their own in firepower compared to same-tier vehicles. At the final stages of testing, they will be shaped into completely capable vehicles that don't break the current balance. Along with the researchable vehicles in the Italian tech tree, the Progetto C45 Mod 71 Tier 8 premium tank will be added to the game. It will be the first to be sent to Supertest, so let us tell you a bit more about it. This project is a combat vehicle concept that was a result of Italian designers studying German developments. A whole series of vehicles was developed with a significantly increased combat weight, but a relatively low profile. Additionally, new development in armor protection was happening at that time. In particular, spaced armor made its return after being developed during World War II. The Progetto C45 Mod 71 has great upper glacis angles and somewhat rounded turret corners. Its effective armor is great and has additional protection in the form of screens. This tank feels comfortable against same-tier enemies on the front line. And it's even better in positional combat if you have a chance to use terrain to your advantage. The depression angle of -10 degrees allows it to completely hide the hull and block damage with the turret. In this position, the effective armor increases even more, and it can become a big problem for many enemies. The 105mm gun and 3-shell magazine can deal 1,000 damage in 6 seconds. And of course, it has the improved auto-reloading system that will enable it to feel confident in any situation. The situation requires firing like a cyclical vehicle? Great! Got a chance to deal a lot of damage to the enemy with all 3 shells? Sure thing! The enemy won't let you safely reload your magazine? No problem. You can still bring the fight in cyclical firing mode. And the most calculating soldier can even shoot twice at the enemy and switch to cyclical firing. And when the enemy has very little HP left, finish them off with 2 accurate shots. However, such benefits have a price. The accuracy and aiming characteristics of the tank are below average. You probably won't be able to fire effectively from mid-distance, despite the nice view range of 380 meters. But in most cases, this won't be necessary. The Progetto C45 Mod 71 has good mobility as for a heavy tank. Its top speed of 50 kilometers per hour and specific power of 12.46 horsepower per ton allow it to cross long distances without being an outsider among other heavy tanks of the same tier. Soon, the Progetto C45 Mod 71, together with other Italian heavy tanks, will get to the Supertest, where we'll be adjusting their characteristics right up until release. Upon making changes, we'll share additional details. Meanwhile, leave your feedback on the forum and in the comments under the video. It helps us make the game better. Good luck on the battlefield.